Hey team, how we doing? Whenever something keeps cropping up in consecutive conversations with different people, I always take it as a sign that I should do a video on it. And this thing has come up 5 times in the last 4 days, right? Different people talking about different things, but we ended up talking about this one subject, and it was about chats. It was about Telegram. And that leads into then overwhelm, lack of clarity, confusion, distraction. And I found myself sharing the same thing with each of these 5 people, and it was really well received. So I thought, right, just do a video on it and let's see if we can help even more people, right? So there's no doubt about it, right? If you're active in Herbalife, you're probably gonna have a bunch of Telegram chats, groups, and channels. Right? And if you don't choose to organize it, if you don't choose to understand and master Telegram and organize it and use its facilities, there is no doubt, right? It's going to become an area of confusion and overwhelm for you, right? So I'm going to talk about a handful of things here that make a really big difference to whether Telegram is a useful business productive tool for you, or whether it's something that's constantly creating distraction and therefore having a negative effect on your productivity. Okay, we need to talk about folders, we need to talk about pinning chats, we need to talk about notifications, we need to talk about discipline. And when you bring all those things together, it's going to make a really big difference, and an overall philosophy to how you organize and use Telegram too. Okay, so let me start with the philosophy first, right? Because this is something that comes from I can't even remember what book this is from, right? But it pops up on social media a lot of the time. Is understanding the difference between something that's urgent, something that's important, and something that is noise, right? And so I think about, when I think about my Wealth Marathon chats, my channels, my groups, I put them into one of 3 categories, right? The first one is urgent. Now, any chat or person or group that is urgent, it means that if a message comes in from that, I need to see that first over and above everything else. It means that it's usually something that I need to take action on or respond to quickly in order for that group or that person to move forward, right? I don't want my lack of response to be holding them back. Right? That old urgent chat, it needs a folder of its own. Okay, I'll put a screenshot of my folders in here afterwards so you can see how mine is set up. My urgent folder is simply indicated with 2 red exclamation marks. Right? And in that urgent folder is a very few chats. When I mean urgent, right? So to give you an idea, the people that are in, or the chats that are in that urgent folder, is my wife, right? And somebody that helps myself and Lauren with the everyday running of our business. And if she is messaging me, it's because she needs an answer, she needs to ask something, whatever. Without her, our business stops or slows down. So if she needs me, she gets a response. My mum's in there. It's rare that my mum would message me on Telegram, but if she does, it's to do with Herbalife, it's to do with our upline support structure, and so that's in there. And then there's, I think, 3 other chats in there at the moment. Now, at different times in the year, different chats or groups may go in there for a small period of time and come out. Like if I'm on a committee for an event, then that will go in the urgent one because they might need a question they might need an answer that's time sensitive. But right now there is 6 chats, channels, groups in my urgent chat. Okay, and if a little number 1, 2, whatever pops up on that, that's where I go first. And by the way, there will be some days or some periods of time where that is the only folder I will even consider looking at. Right? If I open Telegram and that one hasn't got any new messages in it, I close Telegram because I'm disciplined with dealing with what's urgent first, and sometimes dealing with what's urgent only. Right? I'd really encourage you to have an urgent folder. right? And whatever's the most important thing, whichever gives you clarity or demands your attention most, goes in the urgent folder. The next thing, the next group of chats, groups, messages, or next, not necessarily a folder, right? But I'll tell you how I deal with these next, is something's not urgent, but it is important. Okay, it's the next level. After urgent needs to be looked at as a priority. It's important. And I don't have a folder for important. What I do is within my folders, if something is important, that chat stays pinned at the top of that folder. Again, this is learning how to master the facilities and different things you can do in Telegram. So if you haven't got folders, you're behind the game. If you're not pinning certain chats, channels, whatever, in those folders, you're behind the game. So pinning a chat within a folder tells me it's important. It means it stays at the top no matter what, right? And then everything else, by the way, every other chat goes in a folder of some kind, right? I don't have many chats, even from individuals, right? All of you in this wealth marathon, if you're in the wealth marathon, then even as an individual, 1 second, buddy, let me just finish this, okay?
Daddy?
Yeah?
Let you know when you finish that.
Yeah.
Can you find me a pen? Because we need to list.
Okay, as soon as I finish this, I'll come and find you a pen.
Daddy, I'm going to sit down.
Good boy, you sit there then, right? Even those of you in the wealth marathon at all, you sit in my wealth marathon folder because obviously we have a lot of coaches outside of the wealth marathon, but you would take priority over my general inbox because you are active, you're engaged, you're in the wealth marathon, because it gives you a higher priority. It's really about organizing your Telegram so that you can deal with it in priorities rather than something that is not a priority, that is just a distraction, that is just a noise, because it was the last message in, it sits at the top and that's the one you deal with first, right? That's allowing Telegram to run you instead of you running it. Isn't that right? Is that right?
Daddy?
Yeah?
Once you finish,
Yeah, take your finger out your nose.
can you look upstairs and downstairs?
I will do, darling, when I've finished. Okay, you can go sit down?
I'm going to stand here.
Okay, he's going to stand there, right? So, urgent needs a folder of its own. Important are the ones that are pinned at the top of your folders, right? Your folders are whatever you need them to be. I have an urgent folder. I have what I call TBC, which is the bloke coach, which is basically my personal customers that I deal with. I have a health marathon folder. I have a wealth marathon folder. And then I have a few others as well, right? Just to keep everything in its place. So we've talked about the philosophy, urgent, important, and then you've got noise, right? Everything that isn't urgent or important is just noise. And noise is something, noise with respect to those people that fall into the noise category or those chats or channels that fall into it's stuff that I want to be able to stay up to date with, but I don't want it to distract me from what's urgent, it's important. It's stuff that at the end of the day, I will go through and I'll scroll through my folders and just see what's in there. And some of it, some of it maybe it'll turn out that it was important. Okay, great. But if it's going to stay important, then guess what? It'll get pinned at the top. But at the end of each day, my urgent folder is empty. My important chats have been checked and I'm aware of all the noise, but I've controlled the noise, right? So you need to get the right philosophy. You need your folders. You need to use a pin post. And secondly, notifications, right? With Telegram, you can switch on notifications. 1 second, buddy, I'm nearly finished. You can switch on notifications for individual chats, groups, and channels. 1 second, buddy. But here's the big one, right? The big one is, the app icon on your home screen or wherever your app lives. Whenever something happens in that app, it tends to put like a little number, right? And so, for instance, with your emails, if you have 100 unread emails, it will say 100, right? And by the way, if you have 25,000, it will say 25,000, right? But I choose to have those little red numbers switched off because when they're on, if there's a little red number there, I find myself going in. And if that little red number leads me to a chat or a channel or a group that is noise, it's just stolen my time from things that are more important, right? So I choose to have those switched off so that I can choose and build into my day when I'm going to go into Telegram. I go in first thing in the morning, I go a little bit halfway through the day, I go early evening, and I was going to say before bed. I choose not to look at my phone before bed particularly. But it makes a difference. Right? All of these things are easy to do and easy not to do. And if you're not doing them, don't be surprised when you're getting taken over by noise. Don't be surprised when your distractions are running you, your productivity goes down, you're missing important things. I don't know. The conversation I had with someone last night was, they was like, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, and I said, I know. I said, you know how I know? It's because by the way, I'm in all the chats and all the channels and all the groups that they are in. And I had seen that they had become really inactive in the chats that really served them. And they were becoming more active in all the chats that I consider noise. They were being more visible in them. I said, I know you're overwhelmed because you're spending your time in chats and groups that are noise, and which means you're not spending time in chats and groups that serve you, that help you, that contribute to you being a better coach, a better leader, and moving your business forward. And they were like, you're so right. They go, I know, right? So, listen, I hope that helps. Any feedback, as always, fire it below. If you've got any suggestions of how you manage your Telegram, your admin, then post it below as well. Get involved.